I'm Valerie Ulster.
I am Jason Hairston, and welcome to the Evolution of Intimacy show. The topic is old paradigm relationships versus new paradigm relationships, where relationships were and currently are, and where relationships are going. And we're going to tie in, oh my God.
Talking a lot today?
I always talk too much. So, in this discussion, we're going to break down the old paradigm relationships, because I don't think people really know the history behind marriage, and relationships are all, what'd you say?
I said some people might.
Well, a lot of people don't, but all relationships are based off of this concept that stems from the modern ideas of marriage, because most people are dating for what reason? They're looking for a potential partner to marry. That's the basis behind all these romantic relationships. But marriage itself is really a business contract, and it stemmed from the beginning of agriculture, because before agriculture really took over and we went into the industrial age, we pretty much lived in communities and we shared everything. But once agriculture took off within the patriarchal societal foundation, what happened was some people started having more land and more crops than others, so it started to separate us. So when that happened, the men who owned the land and owned the animals and owned the property wanted to marry a woman and keep her in a house so he can make sure that whenever he bears children with this woman, he knows for sure that whatever he leaves, his property and everything goes to his sons or to his daughters, to his blood. So that's what it's all about. Marriage was really about putting a woman in a place where you have my children and I pass on all my properties and everything to my children. That's really what it's all about. And it's not really based around the love concept that has been marketed as in current society through movies and television and things of that nature.
So where are relationships heading? I guess I'll just share kind of what I've noticed, and also Jason can share what he's noticed as well. But for me, it's really about, does the current construct of marriage, which is still, what most people strive for, like Jason was saying, when they're in a relationship or when they start dating, get married, have kids. I mean, that's still kind of the standard construct. But it's to look at the fact that still most marriages, I think it's still 50%, I might be wrong, don't last. They break up within a certain amount of time. And, the other side of it is how many people who stay married are actually happy in that marriage or fulfilled. And so for me, something is not quite right with the construct, which is a religious construct after all. So
yeah, that's basically a big part of it,
Right? So I think it just looks at what in our current society is normal, and what are people getting in a marriage, what are people not getting in a marriage? Is it flexible enough to really meet the demands of the shifting, society, which for me, as we're moving into this higher vibration, the planet is shifting. So how will relationships shift with this new dimension and with the new vibration on the planet?
And on top of that, when I just broke down the agricultural aspect of where the modern idea of marriage really stems from, it started to change a little bit as we got into like the 1950s and things of that nature, because once television became a big part of everyone's life, the media itself began to market relationships in a certain way. They began to market marriage as, okay, like she said earlier, you get a job, you have kids, and the mother stays home and cooks and things of that nature. And at that time, like from the 1950s, when America started rebuilding itself after the war, and when a lot of jobs came to the forefront because of the Industrial Revolution, what happened was there were plenty of jobs for men, so women didn't have to work. They could attend to their kids and stay home, and only one person in the household had to work, which was the man. Okay, but as time progressed on further and further, what happened was it got to the point where inflation and the cost of living and stuff like that is so high to where forced women to have to go into the work atmosphere and work as well. So now you have both parents working in the workforce and no one to really attend to the children. So the children are getting caught up in all things out in the street and things of that nature. So the whole construct of the marriage has shifted in that sense to where it's like you have both the man and the woman working. They're both stressed out. Then they got to come home and still deal with kids. And what we're doing is we're not allowing ourselves to adjust with the ages. In a sense, we're still holding on to these old structures, thinking that that's the way we should go about relationships when it's not working, especially in this environment where both parents have to go to work to support the family. And me and Valerie, we actually are looking at incorporating community-based ideas within our relationships with other parents and things of that nature to help watch kids and things of that nature. We need to start bringing a more community mindset into this new paradigm that's developing. You know, like, for example, we're looking into, you know, other parents have children. Look, we'll take the kids and watch all the kids while they can go off and do what they need to do, and vice versa. Because just two parents raising kids and both of them going to work is just not a good system. It's just not healthy at all.
Well, I think so. For me, it's also like safety. As a woman with a child, you look at the idea of what's going to be in the best interest of my child, and there's safety perhaps, you know, being married, because you have the male, the provider, the security, you know, the protector, I guess. And I think it's because we're not in these communities anymore. We're not, you know, none of my family live nearby. My sister lives an hour from me. So it's like the family unit has changed, as we all know. And families don't all live together anymore. They don't live on the same block. They don't live in the same town. And I think perhaps it's more in America than in other countries. Whereas, you know, you're looking to get the hell out wherever you grew up, and it's not necessarily a community environment because you don't have your family.
Right, and I think within the American culture, you know, we're consumed with consumerism. And what I mean by that is when it comes to ethics, when it comes to the family values, as far as coming together as a unit, we bypass that to get things. It's about status and what we have and things of that nature. So as far as sharing a home with family members or with other families, we look at that, oh no, I want my own. It's all about being separate. As I see, like in other countries or people I know from other countries, it's more of a community-based mind state, even though it is inspired by capitalism and consumerism all over. That inspiration is worldwide now. But I always see in America, like, we are really tied in to this, you know, capitalistic point of view, which is separatism and anti-community. So what's happening now, as Valerie said, you know, to look at it from a spiritual standpoint, there are new energies on the earth right now. And these energies are causing things to break down. It's causing societal structures to break down. It's causing relationships to break down. We are seeing firsthand how people we know all around us, these relationships are breaking down. People are breaking down because this concentrated energy that's coming on the earth now, it's squeezing people and it's forcing us to really look at the way we have our relationship structured, the way we raise our kids. It's putting us in a position to be like, hold on, this is not really working. We have to start developing new ideas and incorporate community values and community ideas.
And I think because what we talked about our last show was, you know, these sacred unions, these partnerships, people coming together for important earth work. So I think it's about what is that higher level purpose. And so you might be in a marriage or a relationship with someone that, you know, you're not supposed to be moving forward with. So I think it's about being flexible within the construct of a relationship. And for us, it's not about the labels. You know, if you're happily married in that environment, it's great. But are you truly being yourself? Are you your authentic self? And I think for me, where we're headed, especially with these new energies, is authenticity. Who you are at the core of your being. Does the situation, does a traditional marriage work? And at the end of the day, though, it's about communication. It's not about the labels. What works for you in the relationship? What works for you in the partnership? So, that's kind of what we wanted to talk about and bring up. And if anyone has questions, please share them if you're on the Google Hangout and you're able to. We have the chat open, and we'd love to hear from you on what you're thinking, because we got a lot of email when we posted this show. We were supposed to do it last week, but people were curious and also looking within themselves. Where are relationships headed? Are we going back to this community, tribal kind of setting where we're all in close proximity? And this is not like your mom's commune. That's not the concept, at least in how I see it.
Right.
It's
we're not
really,
talking about that type
yeah.
We're not talking about everybody
I don't want to live with everybody.
naked in the mud.
Well, maybe.
I mean, if that's what you want, but when I say community mindset, people always take it to an extreme. Or even when I say open relationship, people automatically think orgies and sex parties, and it's not.
And it can be.
Since most people don't have anything to go by as far as the concept, they immediately go to extreme concept.
Yeah.
But as to add on further what you were saying about where we're going with relationships and things of that nature, as far as transparency,
yeah,
social media is a direct reflection. I talked about this on Facebook earlier. Social media is a direct reflection of where we're going as far as transparency when it comes to every aspect of our lives, within relationships, politicians, your artists, because now everybody is tweeting, and you have to now. Everybody, politicians, artists, entertainers. So you get a glimpse of the real person, because when you're tweeting and you're commenting on something, you can't hide. The real you is going to come out eventually when you're tweeting and sharing information that organically. So what's happening is it's transparency. So the old paradigm, like I said, after the 50s, with this marketing of a certain relationship, and men have to be a certain way, women have to be a certain way, what's happening is everybody started wearing masks to give off this image of what was promoted through media.
Yeah, because it was the war.
Right. Well, but I'm talking about just in general, like even after all of that, like later on, it's like a marriage is like this.
America had to prop up
the
country. I mean, the 50s were, let's get back to joy and happiness, and we were just coming out of all of this war. So for me, the 50s were really this time of renewal, and this time of, the time of the American dream was kind of born. And so I think a lot of people didn't really, at that time, you just wanted to get back to normal and, cook your Betty Crocker.
The dream had to be so, like I said, like I always discuss when I talk about American culture, we were sold a certain dream, the picket fence, the kids, and it's not, and to say all that, it's nothing wrong with any of that. But what we're trying to break down to everybody is this: those days are done.
Yeah.
It's time to look at a new concept, because the transparency, like I said, is coming into relationships. Now it's like it's not working to wear the mask anymore. It's just not working. We see you. Everybody's information on Facebook. You can't get away with sleeping around and cheating. You're going to get caught quicker. You might as well just be who you really are and tell your partner, look, this is who I am. I'm a freak and I want to have 30 women or whatever. Whatever it is. But all I'm saying, I'm a sex animal if that's what you are. But what I'm saying is we really have to go deep within and look at ourselves and be honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
Because pretty soon, the more you try to hold on to that mask, because it's slipping off. Everybody trying to hold it on. The mask is slipping off.
Well, I go back to the point that if half of marriages still don't work, why? What is it within them? Once people, in my mind, you're with somebody for a certain amount of time for a purpose. Once that purpose is over, or you've grown, or whatever, then what is there left? And for me, it's not about stopping to love one person to love another person. It's just that the nature of the relationship has changed from perhaps an intimate relationship to a friendship. So I just think we're moving in the direction of, people talk about where we love each other, unconditional love, oneness. We're all together. We're no one separate. And so in the sense of how do relationships look moving forward, community is one thing that we're proponents of, that we see as very important, whereas people can live, in close proximity in separate units, whatever. There's so many different
Right. There's no one way, but I'll tell you this. Now I want to talk about the economic aspect of it again, I want to go further on that when I talked about the industrial age and marriage and relationships in that era. We are now in the information age. So in the information age, there are not as many jobs out there. Everything is about information now. The jobs that are taken off are things that you could do online, that you could do yourself. You can use your own gift and do it online and sell it with no middleman.
As we all
if you're
do,
an author,
as most
yeah,
people do now.
coaching, everything we do it online. So that right there makes things different from an economical standpoint. So now it's like, we have to start looking at different ways to make money. And the thing is, since there's not a lot of jobs out there, people don't know who they are, so they don't know what their gifts are. You understand what I'm saying? So in amongst the people, so many people don't know what their gifts are. We really need to start coming together as a community so we can support each other until we start figuring out who we are, in a sense. You understand what I'm saying? That's part of the support system we need too.
Yeah. Okay. Now, does anyone have any questions? Submit them here, but no one's submitting them. So I'm just wondering if we're set up for questions. If you have a question, try to submit it to us here, or I'm on Facebook, so if you want to submit a question to me, feel free to do that.
But anyway, let's talk about where relationships are going. Okay, we talked about where it was pretty much. So in the new paradigm, for relationships to really work, we have to really be honest with ourselves and our partners, because transparency is inevitable.
Yeah.
So however you feel, you need to express it with your partner. It's stop tiptoeing around the bush. It's time to really just come out and say, look, baby, this is how I am. This is how and vice versa. Because if you don't, you're going to suffer more and more. These new energies on the planet are really going to push you to be authentic.
Yeah.
So it's either you're going to do that, like I always say, now we're to the point where you're either going to have a breakdown or a breakthrough.
Yeah, and that's because
it's one or the other.
Yeah, the energies of the 4D, which I talk about, the fourth dimensional energies, and that's the emotional dimension. So, a lot of people are being triggered emotionally to really release, anything that they're holding on to. And a lot of people are holding on to old relationships, old attachments, trauma from childhood. I mean, we're not just talking about romantic relationships. We are talking about relationships in general. And I was just reading something today, and it was saying that all relationships are about going deeper. And regardless, again, if it's romantic or other, it's all about letting you get to your authentic self. What is it that you have to look at within yourself to move forward? And I think it makes a lot of sense.
Now, I want to break down what we say when we say what we mean when we say the fourth dimension. Here they come with that new age hippie stuff. Put on a 10-4 Jiffy Pop hat.
I don't think anyone thinks about it like that anymore. At least no one that I know. Okay. At least in my group, I don't think anyone.
Crazy fourth dimension again. Here they go. I was with them till they said that. But anyway, what's happening right now is when we say the fourth dimension. Okay, as far as quantum physics, everything vibrates. Okay, let's just break it down. Everything vibrates. Okay, everything. So what's happening is the planet itself is vibrating faster and higher on a higher frequency.
Yeah.
So what that's doing is, if the higher you vibrate, the faster things manifest. It's you can't really hide behind the mask, and this is why everything is collapsing, because when we're in the third dimension, that energy was slower, so it supported all the manipulation and all those things that were happening. This is why the politicians can't get away with it as much as they used to. This is why everything is coming out. So the fourth dimensional grid that just anchored on the planet is vibrating higher. So if you're involved in activities that are on a lower vibration, that's all about manipulation, about ownership within relationships and things of that nature, you're going to suffer. Because the vibration on the planet is no longer supporting those lower vibrational structures.
You don't have to suffer.
I'm just telling the truth.
One of the things that people ask me a lot
okay, go ahead.
is breaking down. We talk about we're in an open relationship. And so I think a lot of people, we talk about this a lot on Facebook, and I think a lot of people are looking at these labels, right? Open relationship, polyamory, whatever. And so I think it's just about, it's removing the labels. And for me, I call what we're in and what a lot of people are in conscious relationships, new earth relationships, where, it's really not about controlling anybody or, having these tight binds of perhaps marriage where, you're not able to, if you change and you're no longer interested or you want to pursue something outside your marriage, that you can't do that. So for me, a New Earth relationship is really balanced. It's very much masculine and feminine balanced, whereas you both are very much in tune with, what's important to you. You're in tune with your authentic self.
It's about supporting each other's individuality. And I want to say this, to even get like where relationships are going, we have to work on our insecurities. If you're insecure about your partner being who they are, being an individual, still enjoying their individual things away from you, that's really something that you need to look at right now within yourself to really try to get rid of that insecurity and find that strength within you to be secure in allowing your partner to be who they really are.
Yeah.
Because if not, it's not, these relationships cannot continue to go on with this old paradigm way of thinking. It just will not match. It won't match on an economic level. It won't match in any kind of level, And another thing too, we're expanding our views. A lot of people, and I don't want to say this is not going to be a bad religious bash, but I'm just saying it's it's time to look at concepts outside of these limiting beliefs that are fed to us through religions.
Yeah.
I believe personally that there are good messages within all of the religions. I feel like the prophets within all the religions really shared valuable information. But I just think that a lot of times in relationships, we let these moral boundaries that are fed to us through religions stop us from exploring
how we really feel.
And it makes us feel guilty and ashamed for feeling this way.
Yeah.
So therefore, we bring that into our relationships. So we don't want to express how we feel with our partner because it's like that guilt trip, like, oh, I'm going to feel guilty or feel ashamed or this way or that way. Me and Valerie, we're completely open with each other. And we're not ashamed of how we feel about anything. It's nothing to hide. I don't care. It's like, this is how I feel. She's the same thing. Like, what? I love her for who she is. She loves me for who I am. What? No mask. Take it off.
Well, I think this comes down to expectation and attachment, because any relationship, right, whether it's romantic or other, we have expectations of what that relationship is about. And usually we bring our own stuff to the table, and then we, have expectations of what, how the other person should act or react or what have you. And then I think attachment. And these were the two kind of pieces that, for me, I had to really look at, what are my expectations for others? Because we project our own, anything that we have to work on, any issue that we might be holding on to that we're ready to release. We pull into our experience, in my opinion, the people who we're supposed to mirror that situation. So relationships are really learning modules, as Jason says, and we have to look at them different than I'm now, I'm getting married, we're going to be together forever, this is my life partner. You can't say that, in my opinion, about jealousy. That's a really good one. We're getting a question. Yay, our first question. Okay. So we're getting our question about jealousy and insecurity. Explain loving without attachment, still honoring your partner. These are good questions, and I think what it's about is about.
I think it's like this. When you are in love with someone, okay, I feel like honoring your partner is really just accepting them for exactly who they are, and vice versa. Yeah. That is how you honor someone. Yeah. It's not about saying, well, if you really honor me, you'll be this way, or I'm gonna honor you. It's just completely accepting who you are. Yeah.
Totally acceptance.
Yes, it's total acceptance.
And I think that is when you're honoring your partner, is when you're fully accepting of who you are, who they are. And neither one of you wants to change the other person. I mean, I think this, for some reason, what is it about when we get into a relationship, we want to project our, issues or our, again, expectations
Mhm.
on how that person should act. And if they don't meet ours, we try to change them. And that's where I think a lot of relationships go sour,
Mhm.
right?
Somebody just asked, how do you disattach from someone within a relationship? Well,
Well, wait a minute. Actually, I want to go up to Jasmine asked this question. How do we combat jealousy and insecurity in our relationship? I mean, I'll be honest, when we first connected, I had, some issues about jealousy. I was still, though, working through, for me, when that was triggered, and it was in the beginning, I said, okay, what is it within me that is reacting to this? Because I think jealousy is just an insecurity within myself. What is it that I'm afraid of? And for me, everything is either fear or love. And jealousy comes from fear. What is my fear? What was triggered? And it was really like fear of losing Jason. I mean, that's the only fear that would come up with jealousy. But at the end of the day, it's, if we really love each other, or if he loves me, or he wants to be with me, he's going to be with me. If he wants to be with somebody else, he's going to be with someone else. And so I think jealousy is a big one, and that's how I see it. There's usually a fear behind it, and insecurity is the same.
And the way that you combat the jealousy and insecurity is to get help on clearing your insecurities with coaches like us or someone you trust to help clear those insecurities. Because if you don't know where the root of those insecurities are,
Yeah.
you will continually draw in people to reflect and trigger those insecurities. So it's about finding out what they are and uprooting them and getting rid of them. Now, Jay Mitchell, she asked.
Well, I just want to finish. When it arises, how do we overcome it? Did we answer the question? I think for me is I had to look at it and say, what's underneath the jealousy? The jealousy is just a reaction to something deeper. What's underneath it? So for me, that's really how I dealt with it, is I'm looking within. It's not about Jason. I communicated that I was uncomfortable with a specific situation. And, I think, he was just saying, well, here's the situation, and this is how I see things. And he actually said to me, if you're not ready for this kind of relationship, that's okay. Just let me know. And so it's really just, I think communication is everything.
But to overcome it is doing the inner work. So that's how you overcome it.
Yeah.
You go do the inner work. Find a coach or someone that can help you deal with the insecurities and give you tools on how to get rid of them. That's something that we do. Now, how do you detach? We have a question. How do you detach?
Now, I don't know if I understand that. Do you understand how do you detach?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so break down, though, because for me, detachment for some people means disconnecting, like apathetic.
Well, I mean, yeah, but the thing is, sometimes you have to let someone go. Now, what I mean by that is, like, for example, if I'm in a relationship with someone and it's not working out, and I have to walk away because it's not working out, I have to let them go. So that's kind of like a detachment. Doesn't mean I don't love them anymore. No, it just means that I have to go along my own path. So what you have to do is just walk with your walk in strength. It's not easy. You have to just walk away when you know it's not right, because you have to look out for you. If you're not comfortable, if you don't feel good within the situation, you have to walk. And I don't care how bad it hurts. If it's not for you, you just got to walk in strength. And that pain, you just got to walk through it. You'll eventually get over it.
So we get another question that's talking about, is the mainstream slow embrace of homosexuality a reflection of the fourth dimension? That's really an interesting question. I do think as we, raise our vibration, so as the planet shifts vibration, as the humans, we're inhabitants of the planet. So we are going to shift with it or not. Some people might not. But I think it's about the form of the physical body is not going to be as important, because as you raise your frequency, the energies are lighter. And so, we're shifting, I think, out of this, quote, male-female specific kind of gender role. So I think there'll be more of an embrace about homosexuality, because people are going to embrace both the masculine and feminine, which for me, a balanced person has a balance of masculine and feminine, which I see as the infinity symbol, and kind of like a yin-yang.
I'll say this too: the newer embracing of homosexuality connects directly back to the transparency thing. I mean, it's just homosexuality has always been here. It's just been hidden, but now everything is coming to the surface rather. So you can't hide it anymore. So I think that we need to just allow people to be able to express themselves in any way sexually that they want to. You know, I think we should just support love in any kind of form that it comes, unless somebody's hurting somebody or something of that nature. You messing with kids. But other than that, if you're within a relationship and you're two adults, you should be allowed to express yourself sexually any way you want to. And I think in this new dimension we're getting more into just accepting people for who they are and not feeling threatened by it.
Yeah, and I think that's important with any of these relationships we're talking about, whatever the title is it's really about accepting anything. Meaning, if you don't agree with our, what we're talking about in the way our relationship is, that's okay. But accepting it without judgment. So if we can all accept each other without judgment, I mean, what an amazing, world we would live in. Mm-hmm. So I think that's more important than anything, is not judging yourself and also not judging your partner and not judging others. And we are talking about just this place of unconditional love where we're all in this higher vibration of joy and happiness. Yes, we're getting lots of questions from JM.
We got another question. How do you bring in children and raise children within an open relationship paradigm? What if someone gets pregnant? Now, see, this goes back to what we said about community.
Yeah, community.
You're going to slowly see it happen. It's inevitable. We're going to be forced to be in a position where we're going to slowly start building communities. And when that happens, we will take care of the children. It won't just be, you're right. So this is why, we are building with other people to try to bring community concepts back into the forefront so we can help each other raise our children. That's why I said earlier, while we're linking up with other parents and talk about watching each other's children.
But also I think it's about, JM, it's about an open communication. So you're talking about, a situation between two adults. And I think it's about, again, what are the expectations of the relationship? So an open relationship, it can mean like 20 different things to 20 different people. So I think at the end of the day is, what is the discussion? What is the situation? Mm-hmm. If I were to get pregnant, from someone else, what does that mean for us? So I just think it's about over-communicating. I mean, we over-communicate because we want to make sure that when things come up, we talk about them in detail.
But see, for me, I've evolved so much spiritually that if she got pregnant by another man, I would love that child just like it was my own. Like, it's not like this thing to where I'm only going to take care of my child. I mean, she has a son now, and I love him like he's my own son. I won't treat him differently as opposed to my biological. Now, of course, naturally, you're going to have a little more attachment to your biological child. But what I'm saying is, I love children, period. If she has somebody else's child, like, we would just love that child. And I allow the father to come in and love the child as well. Like, I've always thought from a community-based mind state. I've always had that mind state. It just never really matched with our current societal structure. So now we're going to slowly be forced to go into that type of structure. So the fact that I've always thought that way, I'm going to be one of the ones to help us transition into this new way of thinking.
So Shelley's saying this is how she teaches her kids, and when she speaks to teenagers, this is how they think.
Interesting.
Yeah, very. So, I mean, generationally speaking, our kids, my son, they're going to grow up in a whole different environment.
They will.
And I think the kids come forth to teach the parents. I always say that. And even though, I want to, think I know better, he knows better because he's new and he's the newer generation. So it's, from what I see, the question is, how do we shift from what we have now? And it's not going to be, cut and dry.
Right.
If we stop this system and start this system. And there's communities all over the world, so it's not that this is a new concept. But I think more and more people that I know and that want to be with like-minded people with the same vibration or
Right.
the same beliefs. And so I think more and more that's going to happen as people, I want to be close proximity to people that I resonate with on a deep level, that I'm co-creating with.
Right.
So I think that's what it's about, just communities of like-minded people. But it doesn't mean that we can't do a community right now. I live in Redondo Beach, and there's people that need what we're talking about today. So.
And you know what? And for those people who are already married right now or are in relationships right now, long-term relationships, I just want to say I would suggest that the two of you really, if you're listening to this discussion, step to your partner and say, and try to be more open and to practice being more transparent, because like I said before, everything is going to come to the light. Everything now. In this new vibrational planet, you're not going to be able to hide anything. So it's time to start opening it up to your partner. Start the conversation. Slowly start this transition, because this is what this is all about. The evolution of intimacy is to serve as a bridge into this transition of where we're going, because we know where we're going. So we want to make sure we can get as many people on the bridge as possible to make a smoother transition.
I just think more and more people will naturally, intuitively want to go, in this way, or just want to open up a conversation. And again, we're not against marriage. We're not
Right.
against anything. We're just saying, be realistic about your expectations when you step into a relationship, knowing that it's a learning module, knowing that it's about, assisting you wherever you're at in your journey.
Knowing that you can change, your partner can change, and you can grow apart or you can grow together.
Yeah.
Those options are there.
And being okay with it,
Right.
which is not to say that we're disconnected from emotionally. We'll talk about that one. Someone's asking, how do you attract this sacred partner? We'll talk about that. But for me, what's most important is this moment, the present moment, and loving as fully as I can whoever is by my side in this present moment. And if that changes tomorrow, that's okay. It doesn't mean that I still don't love him. It just means that, we might have moved.
Compatible.
Yeah, we've moved into a different space, and now we're ready for something else. I think we come from this very traditional, you can't love this person and love this person. You got to stop loving this person, your old relationship. And I think that's crap.
We put limits on love. But see, everybody, the problem is everybody equates love to sex. And it's like, well, if you love me, you're just going to have sex with me. And I'm not saying that everybody should have sex with other partners. You should be able to choose whatever you want to do. But all I'm saying is love is not limited to just having sex with someone. You can love the opposite sex without being intimate in that way.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that and start redefining intimacy, what we call intimacy, because we link it, when it comes to opposite sex, we link it too much to sex.
And I think it's about expansion. Let's expand, how people see relationships. So that's kind of what we see. We do have a question about how do you attract the relationship that matches your consciousness? Most men I encounter think I'm insane. Well, I see, the thing for me is you don't actually have to do anything, because when you're vibrating at a certain level, you're going to attract naturally that person. The only thing that might come up, and I experienced this myself, is I wasn't ready for the kind of relationship that I was looking for. I still had work that I had to do. I had to, release some past trauma, release some past emotional blocks from past relationships, and, kind of work on what I had to work on. So in that process, I felt like, okay, I'm getting closer to meeting the person or people that I'm gonna learn from, that I need to be with. So I think it's less doing and just more being.
Inner work. It's more inner work. Everything boils down to doing inner work. I mean, if you're not really attracting the type of person that you want on a certain conscious level, more than likely that means there's a certain blockage within you that needs to be cleared. Because as soon as that blockage gets cleared out, they'll come.
Well, you'll know what it is because the person will mirror what you have to look at. And I think this is where it's being honest with yourself.
Yeah, you mean like the people you're dating now.
Yeah, like, oh, the things that annoy you about the person you're with, right, are usually
Clear
the things that you have to work on. So I always ask the question, like, what is this relationship showing me? What is this person showing me that I need to look at myself? Mm-hmm. And I think that asking those questions really takes it out of this other person being the issue and taking it back to you. It always comes back to you, as Jason was saying.
And like 4 years ago, I wouldn't have been ready for this relationship.
I wouldn't have either.
Because 4 years ago, my ideas about open relating and things of that nature. 4 years ago, if you would have said, man, well, my girlfriend get pregnant by another guy, I just take care of the baby, I'd have been like, what? Oh, hell no, nah, you tripping. So as I expanded within my concepts of relationships expand. And I'm not saying that everybody should have that idea either. I'm saying we should be embracing freedom. However you want to experience your relationship, you should experience that relationship in that way and find someone who's on that similar vibration to experience that type of relationship. But with that being said, you have to recognize that we're going into a transparent new societal structure where there's going to be more transparency. So as long as you embrace that and know that and can be honest with yourself and honest with your partner, whatever you two decide between you can be a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And one of the other things, as we do shift into these higher frequencies, everybody is going to get more sensitive, meaning all of your senses will be heightened. Intuition, just knowing, feeling, right? So you're going to know anyway where your partner's at because you're going to just intuitively know or feel. And so that's, what Jason was saying about transparency is as we increase this frequency, your personal frequency as well, you get more sensitive. You know who you're supposed to be with. You know when things might be ending. I was just singing Freedom and you didn't join me, so I'm not going to join you.
Because I was breaking down.
Whatever.
I was breaking it down.
I was breaking into Aretha and I didn't get any support.
I hate the swirly rainbow.
Anyway.
You got a swirly rainbow on a computer.
Swirly rainbow.
And it don't have Skittles at the end of this rainbow or a pot of gold.
So
the frustration.
Perhaps the energy of our conversation has fried my poor MacBook Pro, but now we can't even look at the questions. So, but we only have 3 minutes left.
3 minutes, so we're gonna wind on down. The universe said that's enough. That's enough. Y'all talk too damn much. Shut up.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yes, thanks for all the questions. And next time, I promise you, we'll have it together.
We go.
We'll have it more together.
What is together? There's no together.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Hey,
so anyway,
television.
Hopefully we've answered some of your questions and we covered some of the topics that we were going to cover. But, we'd love to hear from you. We're hoping to start maybe doing a weekly evolution of intimacy discussion.
So if y'all want to, let us know. If y'all want us to do this every week,
y'all
let us know. If y'all want to discuss certain topics, let us know.
I hope you enjoyed the discussion, and thank you all for joining us.
So get off the internet. Stay on the internet. Go buy some sex butter. Go to jasonharrison.com. Click on the side tab on the bottom, sex butter. Spread it around and have some fun tonight with your partner.
All right.
Be transparent.
Okay, anyway. So thanks again for joining us. And if you want to reach Jason or I, you can reach us through Facebook. We're on there quite a bit. Yeah. Or our personal websites, which are just our full names, jasonhairston.com. Oh, good. Hope you had fun. Or valerieelster.com. And as Jason said, we help people shift through traumas and past, relationships. So, and we also work with couples together. We started doing that. Mm-hmm. So reach out if you'd like to talk to us further.
Clear those blockages. And if you really want to have that deeper love, you have to get those blockages taken care of. You got to work on yourself.
Yeah, that's it. So go deeper. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a beautiful night.
Bye, beloveds.